Hey everyone, welcome back to PintheQ Podcasts. We are here in Indiana, a little different than when I'm used to in Jersey, so this is exciting. The furthest place I went so far is Pennsylvania.
Oh.
So Indiana's a little further.
Yes.
Sure. There's more than corn in Indiana.
That's true, and they're about to find out, aren't they?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
This episode on PintheQ Podcast, we are here at Sugarcreek. We're going to learn all about this place in a few minutes, but gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, why don't you tell everybody who you are?
James Wolsiffer, Captain here at Sugarcreek Township Fire Department.
And you are?
Tony Bratcher, Lieutenant here at Sugarcreek Township, also the Public Information Officer.
The PIO. So first, let me just tell you that I appreciate very much the hospitality. From the minute we got here, right, you laid out the red carpet, gave us a tour, we had dinner, which was phenomenal. A little spicy, that's good. Spicy is good, but it was great. You know, first of all, you have a beautiful home here.
Appreciate that.
I mean, this is very classy and super clean, which you expect that from a firehouse. But it's very clean, and I like some of the nostalgia around here, even though it's a brand new building.
Correct.
So first, let's start off with you, Cap. Why don't you tell everybody how this all started for you? How to become a firefighter?
Right out of high school, I really wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. Growing up, most kids are from the early age, they're thinking they're going to be a fireman, and that wasn't the case with me. I was an electrician, went to school to become a journeyman electrician.
Okay.
And halfway through that, there was an electrician that was a volunteer, and he kept coming to work talking about runs that he took, and just kept my eyes, and I was just like, this is amazing. How do you do this? He said, well, why don't you come try out and see if you can do it.
So you didn't have any family that were firefighters before you?
No family.
You're first generation?
Yeah.
Still
first generation.
That's awesome, man.
My little guy's always running around the firehouse, so
yeah, cool.
Maybe one day he's doing that.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I saw him run through here before. He gave you a big hug.
Yep. Him and the kids always try to come by and see me every once in a while.
So that guy, that electrician, got you hooked on this.
Yeah, and he's full time on the C shift, and like I said, I'm a full time fireman now.
And who was that?
Doug Curry.
All right, cool.
Yeah, yep. He's based out of here as well, out of 42s.
That's great. And what about you, LT?
So a similar story was a little bit different. You know, I went through a high school program, became a cadet at the fire department down the street from my house. Put my time in as a cadet, then became a reserve firefighter, and then I found my way to Sugarcreek Township at the age of 22, and I've been here since. No plans on leaving.
What is it about this fire department that's so special to you guys? Because I talked to you off camera, and you're both very happy about being here, excited about the fire department and its history. What is it about this fire department for you?
So this has always been home to me. I started out as a volunteer when I was back in 2002. So I was 18, 19 years old, and that's all I knew was this place. Networked a lot. Finally got the opportunity to go out for the process in 2006. Got hired on full time, and ever since then, just this place is family. They still treat it as a family fire department. They're always got family first. That's
great. And when you got that letter, that notification you were getting hired full time, what bring me back? What was that like for you?
It was amazing. We literally just talked about it the other day with my battalion chief was the ops chief at the time, and he called me. I was doing electrical, like I said, phone call, and he says, I'd like for you to come by my office later today. I got something for you. And I immediately knew. And he said, just when you get off work, swing by.
Right.
Well, I told my employer I had to go.
It was like no looking back.
Yeah, no looking back. I split. I told him, I said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hurried up, got to the firehouse, went in to see Chief Fitzgerald. I said, hey, Chief, I'm here. And he slid the paper across the desk and had me sign it.
That's great.
And, man, it's awesome. It was full throttle ever since.
Ever since, right? Did you have to go back to the fire academy, or was everything good to go?
No, so to get hired on here, you already had to have firefighter 1 and 2, state certification, and EMT. And I just finished up the EMT school.
Oh, that's great.
Like a couple months prior to that. So.
And what about you, LT? How was your experience?
Yeah, so very similar. Chief Fitzgerald, operations chief at the time, called me up. It was actually funny because in my process, it was the first one when we had a new merit system established, and they called me about a credit report. Well, I'm 22 years old.
You don't got much
I
credit.
didn't know what a credit report was. Half of it was just just my name and all my information and stuff. So it was, you know, a long process, but you know, I always describe it as a dream come true. Like, I don't know that I could have been happier if I hit the lottery than when I got a conditional offer.
Some people I talk to say it's like hitting a lottery when you land this job.
Sure,
I agree. It's
Absolutely.
it's the best job on earth.
It's a privilege.
Absolutely.
It is a
Privilege
privilege
to serve people.
So, talking about this particular house here, it's interesting because I said it's brand new. If you're just watching this and you're not familiar with this fire department, it's brand new. However, when I walk around, I see a lot of old school things, a lot of history. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things. I was one of the chairs on the committee for the firehouse, lieutenant on the C shift, Lieutenant Dustin Dishman, and we just wanted to continue that old firehouse that we were at to this one, but bring it up to date. All the guys in the firehouse helped. There was nobody. We didn't try to leave anybody out. So we had the committee, and the committee consisted of myself and Lieutenant Dishman, along with the guys in the firehouse. That made a lot of sense. We live here. It's home. Might as well have everybody else's input on it.
So they had a stake in what went on here in the building. They really had a big part of it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Would you say that because of that, everything's working the way it is now in the building?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of input that we couldn't take, but there was a lot of input that we did take. You know, everybody knows what a committee's. When you get a committee too big, sometimes it's a struggle. But it's our house now, and I think that's maybe why guys take care of it the way they do, because they're invested in it.
Sure.
They're invested in their home. They're invested in their firehouse. So.
Well, you couldn't have said it better. I mean, it's all family.
Absolutely.
You know? And I saw it in the kitchen. You know, everyone, the kitchen table, right? That's where all the world's problems are solved.
Absolutely.
And it's so true. Every firehouse I go to, you know. But what I noticed here is everyone there couldn't be nicer. You know, just couldn't be more accommodating. And I tried to wash the fork and stuff from it ripped it out of my hands. We got you're not doing your dishes here, but that kind of stuff, you know, and you can just tell. You can tell everybody here is really invested in this place.
Absolutely.
They want to be here, you know.
Yep.
That's good. That's good, man. What is about this firehouse, this particular firehouse that you like something with the new building?
You know, when they started building this firehouse, you know, we insisted upon pieces of the other two buildings we were at being a part of this firehouse. You know, this was a volunteer department before it transitioned into being paid. You know, we wanted the old volunteer houses to be a part of this. So a lot of the things you see in this house came from the other house. And then before that, they came from the firehouse that we were at before that. So long before the captain and I were even born and you know, on this department, you know, pieces of who we are live in this firehouse today.
That's great, man. And what are those pieces, so you can tell our viewers? What are some of those pieces?
You know, one of the things that as the PIO, I had the pleasure of working with the architect and the project managers for the groundbreaking ceremony. And one of the things we decided to do was take dirt from our first firehouse in Philadelphia.
No kidding. And
then the firehouse before this one, we had dirt from there. So when we broke ground, we used dirt from each of the other two firehouses.
Wow.
And you know, people will never know, but it was very cool because we used a volunteer from each house, a guy who was there when that house was open to do it.
That is amazing, man.
So, yeah,
that's so cool.
You know, and that's what happens when, you know, firefighters who live in the house have a stake in it. You know, we come up with ideas like that.
Sure.
And you'll see, everywhere you look around this place, you'll see some idea that wasn't maybe his or mine or anybody else's.
Wow, that's really cool, man. That really says a lot. It really does, man. So what type of area is this?
It's definitely suburban.
Okay.
Mainly residential neighborhoods. We got a little bit of commercial up here in our district, not a lot. Downtown New Pal is where his house is out of. Just middle class homes is pretty much what we got in this area.
And then, is there any farming in this area?
Yeah. There's still some undeveloped areas.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, have you had an opportunity to get involved in any of that? You know, farming accidents. Do you guys handle that type of thing? Is that not frequently happen, or does it happen?
Yeah, not too much. We do have a technical rescue team, a county technical rescue team, and we're part of that component. Machinery rescue, a lot of the guys have been through that class and trained up on that, but I wouldn't say we probably haven't had machinery rescue in probably a long time.
A long time, right? So yeah, because I'm not familiar with this area. So when I came through, I saw that you know that you had some farming.
A lot of neighborhoods popping up now.
Yeah.
Out here.
So what's the population here?
I think we're 16 to 18,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yep, 36 square miles, I believe, is what we cover.
So out of that 36 square miles, how many stations do you have total?
2 firehouses.
2 firehouses.
Yep.
Okay, so this one and the other one you were telling me about.
Yep. So housed out of this one, and lieutenant's housed out of 45s, which is just south of here.
And then what type of apparatus are you running out of here?
This firehouse has got a medic engine, tanker, and a grass truck.
Okay.
The medic and engine is pretty much staffed, and then if the tanker and grass truck go, we kind of cross-staff it as well.
Okay.
And to your house?
Yeah, so the other firehouse is similar, medic and engine, staffed all the time, ladder and rescue, and the technical rescue is up there. So that's a busier house, and everyone has to understand, not busier in terms of runs, but I mean, you have to understand that you may be on this truck, and you know, as we increase our staffing, you know, we'll get to the point where, you know, we're staffed with this and that, but you know, you can go from being on the engine one day to being on the rescue in an hour.
Wow.
You know, so you got to have your head on a swivel. You know, we train people from the ground up here because
you don't know where you're going to be.
That's the way it is for us.
So you guys literally cross-train everyone?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And
engine work, truck work, ambulance, medical calls, you name it.
So you can come
We
in.
don't do the ambulance. Not anymore.
I don't either.
Yeah. We definitely do EMS calls.
I joke around all the time, and you know, I always say this. The next time you see me in an ambo, I'll be a patient.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
done.
We definitely make medical calls. I mean, that's our livelihood. That's what we
Right.
got in the business.
Absolutely.
So where does the firefighters here? Where do they go to the academy, fire academy?
I wouldn't say it's quite an academy. Most of the time, you can take it at a local college.
Okay.
Or a local fire department will host one.
Really?
And just follow the state curriculum.
Okay.
There's a lot of testing. Tony, lieutenant here, he actually teaches at one of the what would you call
Career
it?
centers.
Career centers.
Oh, career center. Okay. So and you can't get on the job here unless you have that academy, right?
At our department, that's the
this
requirement.
department, right? Okay.
There's other agencies that may do no certifications required, and they'll teach the Fire 1 and 2 or EMT from ground up.
Now, do you have any volunteers left in your department?
I think we have a couple.
Yeah, I would say we have a handful to maybe 10.
Okay.
And one thing I talked about with all of the guests with FDIC is, you know, here in the Midwest, volunteer recruitment and retention is very hard. Like all of the departments around us,
across
they're
the
having
country.
a rough go
Across the
keeping
country.
volunteers. You know, so it's something that we respect and admire here, and you know, because I would say 98% of our department have been volunteers or are volunteers. So we respect it and admire it, but it's hard for us.
Yeah, it's across the board though. You know, I talk to a lot of people, as you know, and everyone I talk to kind of says the same thing. You know, like people that want to volunteer maybe can't because they're working 2 jobs.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not like it used to be back then. It was much different. You know, so people are trying to, you know, find their way. They're trying to work maybe 2, like I said, 2 jobs. They have children. You know, it's harder to volunteer now.
Sure.
Plus all the training, you know, that's required, especially EMTs. I don't know about here, but in New Jersey, it's it's nuts. It's always revolving. It's always they keep adding more and more CEUs.
Continuing education.
I actually joked the other day that when I first became an EMT, it was significantly easier. You took a blood pressure, you listened to some breath sounds, and that was the end of it. And nowadays, there's new medicines, there's doses, there's stuff that, you know, if you're not actively on the bus,
it's a perishable skill.
It's hard to keep up with. Luckily, our guys are so good and they're so on it across the department that, you know, the company officers get an opportunity to not do that per se.
Right. Well, it's good. It's good. You can say, you know, I saw one of your firefighters in there checking everything out, and it wasn't because, you know, the show's here, because he didn't even see me. You know, he was just in there doing the thing, and I watched him. He was like meticulously
A lot of
going.
integrity.
Very much.
Backstory on that guy is he's our senior guy outside of the chief on the shift.
No kidding.
So for 20 years to still be doing that, even when no one's watching, you know, that's what we breed on our shift and on the department as a whole from the ground up. Like, I mean, that's what we talk about. You know, we expect you to have certs when you come in here, but also we expect you to do things our way, and we start that day one.
Well, again, that you just told me that he's a senior man. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Um,
Integrity goes a long way.
It does, and that speaks volumes for this house.
Yeah.
And it speaks volumes for that individual.
Mhm.
That after 20 years, listen, most places, somebody will kind of put their back against the wall because they're the senior man, and they let the young jacks do that. But he's in there doing that's great.
No, he's our go-to.
With this place, it's both houses. There's not too many guys that won't just step in and do something. That's what's great about this place.
Yeah, it's like all hands on deck.
Yep.
Sir Francis Pond.
Yeah.
Frankie Pond.
Yep.
So when you first got here,
Yep.
right, as a volunteer, well, tell me how it was different then than how it is now. Is the culture the same? Would you say?
No, it was we had some paid guys, full-time guys working. It was mainly volunteers.
Okay.
And career guys were kind of supplementing, and then over the years, it evolved.
Right.
Now it's the complete opposite.
Now, why was that? Was that because people just couldn't volunteer as much?
That and the run loads. Yep.
Okay, so
The
your
run
call
load-
volume increased?
Call volume went up significantly.
Right.
I think I came on and we were doing, I don't know, maybe 300 runs a year. Now we're probably going to hit 1,700 runs.
Yeah,
So,
it's a lot. It's more than double.
yeah.
Now, is it mainly EMS?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's doing
Yep.
a lot of EMS.
Probably 80%. I would say mostly like any department.
Yeah, EMS seems to take over the
Yeah. Yeah.
the fire department, and this is, I would say, a new trend that a lot of fire departments are now taking on that EMS role.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Otherwise, they wouldn't survive if that's all they're doing is just saying they're out fighting fire.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well,
You know-
it keeps you busy.
absolutely.
That
it does.
as much as it pains me, it does. It's true. It
For
does.
anybody that says it's all they want to do is fight fire, I don't know that. In our area, in the Midwest,
Right.
you have to do EMS as well.
In your time here, because this is where you started,
Yep.
and you're here as a captain, which is cool as hell. What's been your most rewarding experience for you here?
This place, this firehouse, being able to go from what we had to now. I work with great guys, and I say that all the time about being an officer.
Right.
I don't make my guys. My guys make me.
Oh yeah.
My crew is, I believe, top notch, and they make me look good every day. So as long as I'm taking care of them, then that's all that matters.
How close is your department?
Yeah.
They're tight?
Yeah, we're real tight, especially our shift. Our shift's real tight. We literally just went to the Pacer game last night as a shift.
Oh, that's great.
So we do those things all the time.
Because one of the things that, what I'm doing with my show, I'm trying to bring back some of that. Hey, we go to each other's birthday parties.
That happens all the time.
So you guys are already doing one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because that seems
I
some
have
places
been-
it falls off.
We just got back from vacation.
Yeah.
Almost
I have
probably
been
half our
to
shift.
the hospital for every one of his kids. When I adopted my son, he was there.
Nice.
Chief came to the adoption party. The whole crew was there. So, we as much as you'll hear us talk it, from the top down, like we walk it. I could probably tell you, and I'm not just tooting my own horn here, I could probably tell you most of our guys' kids' names. I mean, we believe in that.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yep. We don't want to lose that.
No, you can't. You can't lose that, man. And unfortunately, there's some agencies that are losing that that bond. The brotherhood. But you got to figure it out here.
We try.
Yeah, and I was very excited that I was invited here to your house to check it out. It was an honor for me to be invited. But when I got here, I realized why I'm here.
Yeah.
People need to see what's going on here because you got to figure it out.
Yeah, we try.
In my opinion, I feel like you really have you got this figured out. Everyone's meshing well. The apparatus floor is beautiful. The firehouse is amazing. All the apparatus is ready to go. You guys got that run before and they're out the door.
Yeah.
We always joke. Day one, when you start here, you fill out paperwork. Day two, you learn about our history, our tradition, and you sign a piece of paper, a code of ethics. We don't hold any bones about it. I'll open the back door and tell you if you can't live by who we are, it's time to go.
Yep.
That's great.
And that's, luckily we are very blessed with the hires we've had here, and I think it's a testament to, our older guys, our chiefs, top down. I think guys like Captain Wolsiffer, who started as a volunteer, and Doug Curry before him, and Frank Pine, a guy we just talked about. You know, all of those guys, you know, they each had a brick and they laid it, and you know, we just keep building the department like that. I love the Paul Combs drawing where it's the bricks, because that literally describes this fire department.
That's amazing, man. What's been your most rewarding experience?
Probably me. Oh, not me.
I came on the job with when I came on as a probie. Captain Wolsiffer was on my shift, so he's seen it all. I drove him for a while. I got promoted probably a year and a half ago, maybe.
What was that like for you, bro?
You know what? I have never wanted to be anything other than a firefighter. You know, my mentor as a kid pinned my badge on me when I got hired.
Who's that?
Lieutenant Dan Martin with the Indianapolis Fire Department.
Okay.
And then when I got promoted, he came out and pinned my lieutenant's badge on me. So, you know, I can think of a million things that have been rewarding here, being the PIO and getting to speak for this department. But, you know, when you become an officer, you take an oath to look out for your guys. And when I see my guys succeed, when I see my probie today go through the hot class, and everyone comes up and they're like, man, your guys' guy is so squared away. That's the rewarding part is watching my guys succeed. When they get a new certification, or, you know, when they do something cool, like you can take all of my accomplishments out, but if they succeed, then the organization does.
That's great, man. You know, that's the buy-in, right? When you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the buy-in. You know, when you got that figured out, then you're doing the right thing. So when you get promoted to lieutenant, right? What was that like for you when you found out, when you got that paper and they say, hey, by the way, we're promoting you?
You know, it was surreal because I had an opportunity to get promoted on the same shift that I started on. You know, and I drove Captain Wolsiffer before I got promoted. So, you know, I knew Chief Fitzgerald, our battalion chief. I knew him. He was the one who gave me my conditional offer. So the pieces fell in my favor. You know, it was a dream come true. It was a dream come true to get the job, but to get promoted and to say, you know what, I'm willing to take responsibility for my guys. I want to see them succeed. You know, that's probably one of the cool. Other than being a father, it's the coolest thing I can say.
I'm a father too, man. And once you know your children born and you look in their eyes, it changes everything. You know?
Oh yeah,
it absolutely does. Cap, what's one of the challenges for you as a captain to with these new firefighters that are going to come in? You told me that you're possibly getting 5?
Yeah, that's the goal.
5.
Yeah, they're trying to bring on 5.
So if these 5 come in, right?
Yep.
What are you telling them as captain? What are you saying to them when they walk in this back door and they want to become firefighters? What do you say to them?
For one, they need to stay grounded. Integrity is huge. It's not in it for them. It's in it for the other people.
Right.
That's why we're in this job. They're not being handed the job. You got to earn the job. You're always earning the job every day. You owe it to the public. You don't owe it to yourself. You owe it to the public. It's a privilege to be a fireman.
It is.
These citizens pay our taxes, and we need to be squared away every time we go out the door.
Yeah.
It's game time every time we go out the door.
How do you teach them about the history here? How do you teach them about respect? How do you teach them about the brotherhood?
Man, we talk about that all the time. This generation is unique.
Yeah. It's
extremely unique. You don't want to beat them down because it's just a different culture, but they have to realize that you have to start over. You have to, like, this is how we are. This is how we operate. You can't lose this. We're for the people. We're not for ourselves. A lot of respect. You got to bring the respect back into it. Senior fireman, officer or not, they need to be respected. They built this place.
100%.
You know, they built this place,
100%.
and they're here because of that. So, and you're here because of that.
And the thing is, the senior guys in the house, they want to tell their stories.
Absolutely.
They want to be part of the cultivating of these guys and girls that are walking in the back door. So I tell these new guys and girls all the time, grab the senior man. Yeah. Hey, brother, how did you do this in the 70s?
A lot of times the senior guy is more valuable than the officer. They're the underlying, they are the buffer between that officer. If a good senior guy can pull a new guy off to the side and talk to him through it before it gets to the officer,
right?
That's a good senior guy.
Yeah, they're great buffers.
Yes.
Yeah, before it gets to the point where it has to be to officer level.
Absolutely.
Which, I agree with that a lot.
I was a senior guy for a long time, and I respected it, and then now I've got a great senior guy. TB's got a good senior guy as well. So it's they're needed. They're absolutely needed.
Yeah, they are. And not only from a union standpoint, but also for, just the firehouse part of
Absolutely.
it, so everybody's on the same page. What when you guys are running out here for runs, how many you got in the truck?
I got 3 on my engine
Okay.
and 2 on the medic truck.
And what about is it a quint or a ladder?
It's technically a quint.
Okay.
It's a lot more fun to say ladder 445 than it is quint. But you get down to the brass tacks. It's a quint.
I work on a quint too, man.
We can pump off of it. We can throw the stick.
Right.
We can go through windows.
You do a lot with a quint.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a career house truck, it's the best truck. My opinion, anyway.
Yeah, it's good.
Water will always put fire out. So.
I would say for combination departments or cross-staffing houses or fire departments, quints are. I feel like quints are the way to go.
It definitely is. Has this house always been EMS, or was this introduced after the fact?
Oh no, we've always done EMS.
Really,
Both
even
houses.
back when?
Yep.
No kidding.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you exactly when the paramedic program got here.
Okay.
Well over probably 15 years ago. It was before my time, right as I was coming in as a volunteer. So back in 2002.
Okay.
I think is when they started bringing on paramedics at that time. They ran it as a chase vehicle.
Okay.
So the ambulances were staffed with BLS,
Gotcha.
EMTs, and a chase medic. And then after a couple of years of that, we started hiring, getting more medics, and we started putting a medic and an EMT on an ambulance. But the staffing really didn't start increasing till my class was probably the biggest class they brought on. I think I had 7 in my class, and that was huge for this department at that time. It was a big shift in full-time personnel. And
Really?
It was 5 before that, and then 7 with my class, and then 4, and then it kind of slowed for a little bit, and then we started hiring a little bit more as our run loads increased.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Crazy, huh?
Have you guys had a line of duty death in this department?
There was a volunteer who well before our time. But he had a heart attack on the pump panel.
Oh, okay.
On the fire. I think his name was Hook. We're big on the tradition here, so we know about that. It happened in February. I forget the year. I apologize, but we have a memorial plaque somewhere.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been the only one since that happened?
Yeah. Thank the heavens, yes.
Yeah. And I keep touching your knee.
It's all good.
I don't know if they can see on camera, but I keep touching the knee because it's a small table.
Yeah,
Right.
It's awesome. It's all good.
That's the brotherhood, right?
Yeah, it's the firehouse.
I'm allowed to touch your knees.
Yeah.
Right? So, LT, I'm going to pose the same question that I posed to the captain. All right. When you have these new firefighters coming in, right? What do you feel like what's your responsibility to them to get to where you need them to be? Because it's not just happen overnight, right?
Yeah. No. I mean, it was bred into my head, and we continue to pass it down. For me, it's a threefold approach.
Okay.
I teach a lot of the history and tradition here. It's one of my favorite chapters to teach. I teach them about large-scale fires, the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. I teach them about the Our Lady of the Angels Fire. That's something I pride myself on. So, step one for me is to make sure they understand what each fire did for the fire service. And step two for me is I want them to know the people that built this place. They always talk, Rick Lasky talks about it. It'd be a sad day when your retirees walk in and nobody knows them. So, one thing we do is when the guys retire, I want them to know about the Joe Fitzgeralds and the Terry Hewlins and the guys of our department that were the top seniority when I got on. So that's step two. I want them to know our history. I want them to know where we started, where this department started. And then step three is pretty simple. It's a grass is greener approach.
Right.
Everyone says the grass isn't greener on the other side, but in my heart, I believe that here at Sugarcreek we are greener than everybody, and I want them to believe that. I don't want to say, hey, we're a better fire department than everybody, but I want our young guys to think we are.
Invest.
To invest in this place.
Yeah.
And so it's that threefold approach that they need to understand: the history of the fire service, the history of our department, and how lucky you are to serve the citizens of Sugarcreek.
I love that. I love everything you're saying. I love it. And it brings
taught him that.
You did? You
Taught
told
him
him?
every bit of that.
Honestly, that's how it starts.
Yep, taught him all of it.
That was beating my head when I got on.
Well, I'll tell you. I spoke with Chief Richie Gorman from Jersey City Fire, Battalion Chief. And you want to talk about salt of the earth? This guy is salt of the earth, right? And he said exactly what you just said. Okay, he said exactly what you just said. He goes, everyone should feel
What's
like
up, Richie?
Believe me, he'll watch.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's
Sounds like a cool guy.
Oh, he's solid, man.
Right.
I'd like to meet the guy.
He's the
As he
best.
said,
If
he's
you
probably
do,
seen a lot.
he has. And if you have an opportunity to meet him, you're fortunate, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he says that everybody should feel the way he feels about his firehouse and that they are the best. And if you don't feel that way about your firehouse, then you need to reevaluate where you're at and if you should be there.
The guys make the firehouse.
Absolutely.
Honestly, Frank, I would, if you and I met and we talked for the first time, I would want you to tell me how awesome your firehouse
Absolutely.
is. And not because I want you to say, hey, I'm better than you, but
No, it's not
that's
about
how you
that.
But
should
it's
talk
probably
about
not
that.
as good
That's
as
how I
our
talk about,
firehouse.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's how I talk about my family. My family is better. I mean, you should revere it the same way.
I agree. 100%, man. You took the words right out of my mouth, man, because it's exactly what we should be doing. You know what I mean? He has that effect on people.
And a muzzle.
So bring me back to one of those fires you just talked about. You said the history here of the fire department. You talk about two specific fires, right? Which one's the first one?
Yeah. So, I go through the major events in the fire service and what they brought to us. We want people to know that when you come here, you're not going to fight fire every day. We talked about that. We talked about EMS.
Right.
You're going to do a lot of public relations events. We're going to go to the elementary schools and have lunch with the kids and teach them about fire safety.
Let me jump into something. So our public relations lady, she deals with the school system, and she'll text me or she'll call me and say, "Hey, Cap, we got an event. Do you mind?" And I'm like, "No. Why do you always call and ask? Do I mind?"
Right.
We're here.
You should just assume we want to be there.
Yeah.
Right?
You just tell me where you want us. We will be there. It's not a nuisance.
Right.
That's what we're here for the public.
Sure.
Go ahead, buddy.
Is that something that you preach to the firefighters?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, we're here 24 hours, and anything the public needs from us, that's what we're here for. Trust me, I don't like going out at 9 o'clock in the night, but if that's what needs to happen, it needs to happen.
Right.
So that's what we do best.
Absolutely.
Before he Kanye West me
Yeah.
and cut me off.
Yeah, exactly. I'll forget my thought.
So, one thing that we go back when we talk about
Should I
these
take the
major
mic from you now?
fires, we go back and we talk about these major fires because we talk about what they did for the fire service.
Right.
We talk about what, the Our Lady of the Angels school fire did. It happened in Chicago, which is in the Midwest. But, nowadays when we go to these schools and my guys push the panic hardware to go in and we go on the fire drills and all that, it's good that they can go, you know what? The reason we have the fire drills and the reason we have the panic hardware is unfortunately because a lot of children died.
Yeah.
So I think here we do a really good job of teaching what these fires did for the fire service because and fires where our brothers lost their lives.
Right.
I think if we can take our firefighters and put them in the Denver drill, then that brother's sacrifice, I don't want to say was worth it, but we said we'd never forget.
Yeah, and we won't forget that way.
Yeah.
So if we train,
It's definitely unfortunate that we have to name our training drills
honestly,
after guys.
that's
being
why we
killed.
name drills after people.
One of the drills we do is a Nance drill,
Yeah.
and
Firefight through the floor.
we have an instructor that will say, before we even get started with this, before we go in this hole, he says, "This is why we're doing it. This is firefighting
That's
Nance."
cool.
So when you hear all that, you can actually see the firefighters change attitude in training
Sure.
because now they're putting a name to that training, and now we're not just going in a hole
Yeah.
and lifting each other up with a hose line.
Sure.
There's meaning behind this. So I think that's great that you're passing along that message.
And we have all of our new guys, before they finish recruit school, they write a report on a brother who was killed in 9/11. It seems like a book report. Why am I writing a book report?
No, it's good.
They hand deliver a report in a nice, with their face and a biography of who they were. We believe that. As, chiefs out there tell you, we promise to never forget. Rick Lasky says that all the time.
Oh,
We
yeah.
promise to never forget.
Right.
Well, how do we do that? I want them to know who Terry Hatton was.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Joseph Angelini. I want them to know who those people. And
Absolutely.
I have a whole file from our young guys that they've written.
Yeah, Capt Hatton. I mean, he's just
Right. We have his scribe from the memorial somewhere around here.
that's amazing.
I think it's at the other firehouse now. But yeah.
So what is it that as a captain, right? What's
Yep.
your role here as a captain? In this
We got two captains on the department, one
Okay.
at each house.
Okay.
2 different shifts. So I manage this house, in charge of this house. Anything that comes and goes to this house, it's my responsibility.
Okay.
Make sure the trucks, anything that needs on the trucks, anything that needs in the house.
And you have a battalion?
We have a battalion chief assigned every day to the shift.
He's over our shoulder.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's sitting in a really comfortable chair.
He looks very comfortable, doesn't he?
He's relaxing, critiquing,
Yeah, maybe a minute we'll get him on the radio.
judging silently.
Yeah. As soon as you're done, he goes, you should have said this.
Yep.
And you should have said
right.
that.
Absolutely.
You should have said this.
That's awesome.
No, Cap, getting back to the serious part of this, was there any particular job you were in that had those little hairs in the back of your neck raised?
Yeah, maybe one. We had a fire. I was actually in the front office. I was a training chief for about a year before I got promoted.
Okay.
And we caught a residence fire with entrapment. And myself and the ops chief, not Chief Fitzgerald, our ops chief at the time, Chief Begovich, we were at a place eating lunch, and it came out with entrapment. And him and we took my buggy to the fire. He established command. I got out, got dressed, and I did a VES in this residence. And typical VES was going through, heavy smoke in there. Went through the window, cleared the room, went back to the door to check in the hallway, and the hallway smoke was lifting. So I was starting to make my way maybe to the next bedroom next door to see if I could do a clear of that room. And it was a tri-level.
Okay.
And it flashed downstairs. So not to say that I was in a flashover, but
right.
Being in a tri-level, you definitely could see it. I jumped back in that room.
Temperature changed?
Real quick.
Yeah.
I seen all the signs, and as soon as I did it, they said when they were arriving on the scene, the whole front window blew out. And
right.
Yeah, it got me a little bit. I jumped back to the back window and hopped back out and met the engine crew out front. So yeah, it was a little unique.
Yeah, that'll get your attention quick.
Yeah, real quick.
The funny part of this story is he told that story then the next day to my shift because he was in the front office. We heard about it, and I was like, man, that's really cool. We had just practiced VES.
Yeah.
He actually got a chance to use it, and then you revert immediately to the chop busting. And I said, hey, Chief, with all due respect, keep your ass in the office. And I say it just like that. I mean, not to specifically use the curse word, but yeah, that's what the first thing that went through our mind was, hey, come on, man.
Yeah.
Why are you stealing our work?
We don't do all the paperwork and stuff. We don't take your paperwork.
That was the running joke when I was in the front office. At that
there.
time, our chiefs went pretty much on all calls.
Right.
Anything entrapments to working fires. And they'd always call me, inside safety?
Yeah,
because
right.
I always found myself inside.
He found himself in the fire.
You transitioned yourself to the inside?
Right. It's always good.
What about you, Lieutenant? Anything that comes to mind?
I mean, not right off the top of my head. With every fire, every run,
right.
every vehicle accident, there's always, danger all around you, and you don't notice it until you're older.
Yeah. I hear a lot of older people say that.
23, 24, no kids, just married. There's nothing going to scare you.
Right.
And as you get older and you know that there's a little boy at home that needs you, every call.
Oh, yeah.
Every call becomes something that is, dangerous.
Yeah, it does change you.
So
it does change you. And I know you guys know part of my show, one of the things I touch on very, very heavy is PTSD within the fire service, PTSD awareness and PTS. And what is it, Cap, that you're doing to these firefighters in your house and the culture of your fire department? What are you saying to them when you go on these bad wrecks and you're on fatalities?
Sure.
Or, you're just death in general. I mean, you're working EMS, so you're seeing it constantly, right?
Yep.
So what do you do? What are you doing for them?
We have to talk. We're a family. That's what that kitchen table's for. We solve all the world's problems there,
Absolutely.
but we need to solve our own as well.
So is that would you say how your house does it as far as the
I would say
briefings?
as my shift guys, yes. I can't speak for the other shifts because I don't know what the lieutenants do on the other shift, but I would feel that a lot of them.
I'm talking about you, Cap. I'm talking about how you deal with it.
Yeah, talking to guys. You have to.
Right.
Yep. TB here, he's part of the next rung guys, and it's always good bouncing things off there. We had a pretty horrific thing happen to our department a few years back, and it hit a lot of us really hard.
And what was that?
We had, how do I go about explaining this?
a kid that grew up around here. He was family.
Okay.
His mom works with us.
Right.
We watched him grow up.
Yep.
And he
He passed.
Yeah, he's
And it was our run.
Yeah.
Oh,
Showed
He's,
up.
he's
Yeah, it
our
was pretty bad.
he was our intern for a day. We had an
Yeah.
intern program.
Oh, okay.
He was a good
So
kid,
that one
man.
hit home.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and it did. It hit home for a lot of guys. So yeah, just talking about it.
So is that how you got through it? You just talked about it and you made it more like of a healing thing,
You
talking
have to.
about it?
Yeah, especially when they bring people in. It's pretty rough when you bring outsiders in and want to talk to you about that. I know that's what they're there for, but a lot of times it's better just to talk. The guys that were there, the guys know it's hard to just talk to you about that run and you
Sure.
have no clue what's going on with
Right.
it or what's going on.
Right,
in
because
my
I don't
mind.
have the personal part of that.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
But we're telling these guys now more than ever that it's okay not to be okay.
sure,
You know,
absolutely.
to leave the firehouse and bottling it in and then going home and drinking and
Sure.
all the stuff. You know how that it goes. Domestic violence, alcohol abuse, all that stuff. It's just no good. So we have organizations like Next Run,
Yep,
which
sure.
you're
Good
a part
people.
of. There's people out there that want to help, but I think it all starts at the firehouse when guys and girls can get together and have a real conversation about what they saw. So if you come back to the firehouse and you're at your kitchen table, is that something you all do?
Oh yeah. Yep. We'll
So
talk
everyone
about
can talk
Sure.
about it.
Yep.
Well, and I think it's extremely important to keep an open dialogue with your crew's family.
Yeah.
When I became a company officer, the first thing I wanted to do was, I want to invest myself in these guys' lives.
Really?
I think knowing who their wives are and that their wives and their kids, when they're older, like they can come to me. Like if you see something that I can help you with in your family life, I believe that's my role as a company officer. And I've dealt with this on a more personal level. I feel it deeper. But that being said, I got to do something about it. So I've committed over the next couple of years, I want to put together a program. When we hire new people, we bring their spouses in. And, I give them signs and symptoms of, and I'm not an expert here, but I think that we've been through enough here and we've seen enough and we have enough resources around to know that it's seriously something we got to get to day one. I got to let
That's a
these
very progressive thing.
millennials know. I got to let these young kids know when they get married, what are signs and symptoms of this stuff when it does get to you?
Yeah.
And that their wives can see it. I think that's important.
LT, what you're doing is very progressive.
A lot of our wives talk.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's very
sure.
progressive. I haven't talked to many people that reach out to the families when they first get on the fire
Yeah,
department.
we've been doing that now for the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
Our
they
families come into, I think the chief does that one night. It's like get the families together night and just they explain what's going on, how does the fire department work, how we're still a family.
Wow.
That's
great.
They know what's going on.
Yeah, that's good
24
stuff.
hours, you're here, you're ours, we're family still. You go home to your family.
My goal with it is to actually, I hate the term PowerPoint, but to build some sort of presentation, what that looks like, what, the mental health issues that firefighters face look like. I think a lot of people have touched on it. I think Gagliano out of Seattle and his wife, they touched on the troubles of a firefighter marriage, but most of the time when a firefighter deals with that and ultimately commits suicide, you can look back and see there was a fracture in the home life. So we have to say, I'm my brother's keeper, and it's my job to watch out for James every third day, but does it end every third day?
No.
Because it shouldn't.
No, of course it
The
doesn't.
brotherhood shouldn't end ever.
No. I feel like once you're in part of that brotherhood, same thing with law enforcement, right?
Absolutely.
Law enforcement, EMS,
We love those guys, by the way.
the EMS has it's not like the fire service and it's not like law enforcement. I think they're finding their way now with more of the unity and brotherhood, but it's just not at the same level, I don't think, as the fire departments and law enforcement. It's getting there. I'm glad to see it's starting to get there, and I think that has a lot to do with the introduction into the fire service. With fire service now doing EMS, it's starting to cultivate that family bond like you're talking about. But what I'll say to you, LT, is what you're talking about. There's not a lot of people doing that.
Probably
So
not.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad you're talking about it because our guests will be able to see that that's an option, and maybe not maybe, but they should do just that. Start getting these families more involved because now after I heard you say that, I'm thinking to myself, how great would it be if your wife can call your wife and say,
Oh, they do.
They do.
They do.
They do.
Probably more than what they should.
They do.
but think about a brand new firefighter, right? You hire 2 brand new firefighters, right?
Sure.
Now their wives meet each other, everyone knows each other. Now that wife can call his wife, and they can talk about what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll say, well, hey, you know what? My husband's a little off.
Mhm.
You might not know about it at the firehouse because maybe he's not presenting signs, but if she notices, she's going to know right away
Yep,
that
absolutely.
something's off. She can say something, and then they can create a dialogue.
You know, I hate to keep talking about ourselves, but
Kind of
You realize what the show is about?
that's what the show's about.
I feel like you're
and
talking a lot.
Nobody talks about me like me.
No, that
I kind
is
of live by that.
no
So
joke. He does
one
a
thing
lot
that
about that.
you know, we just did this time. Our probie Oliver O, whatever we call him that day, he went on spring break with us this year. And you're talking a guy who 10 months on the job. And I think it's all part of something greater. I think if we can get to him and he can see, he was building sandcastles with the captain's kids.
That's awesome.
If he can see with that family, then when he marries someone, it's a little seamless.
Sure.
If he ever gets a
If any female is watching this, Oliver Dawkins here in Indiana, he's a catch.
Yeah, he is.
All right, so
nobody's catching him though.
We'll definitely pop his picture up right about now.
Right? Yeah.
So this way, when everybody's watching, they'll see him, and then I'll put like a phone number.
Yeah,
sure,
we'll definitely
absolutely.
blast his number out there.
PintheQ Tinder.
Yep.
No.
He's out. He's not in. That's a no.
That's where I have to check out.
That's awesome.
So, guys, it was real fun talking to you.
Yeah.
You know, this was it was a real honor to be at this firehouse and meet you guys and to be invited here and be part of your day.
Always welcome, man.
You know, this was good stuff, man, and I enjoyed everything I got to see here. I think you're doing something right.
Appreciate that.
I love the fact that you're being progressive about family and that family aspect of the fire service, which was very evident in our conversation. That's all good stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's all good stuff. The last thing I'll ask you before I let you off the hot seat, and that's about the firehouse and what the future holds for this firehouse. So what would you like to see happen for this firehouse down the road?
Well, hiring is huge. I think every department wants to see more guys. But just to keep the strong tradition here, keep the guys to be proactive, keep investing in this place. Don't let it fall behind. Always stay ahead of it. You walk by a trash can, it's full. What do you do?
Take it out.
Take it out, right? You know, you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose that person that you got to stay humble. I should say that a lot. Humble. So I'm never better than anybody else. I might have more years on than the younger guy, but I have no problem getting in there and doing those dishes.
And your message to these new guys coming in is stay humble.
Stay humble.
Right.
Stay humble and hungry is the best words. It's not my words. It's used out there everywhere, and I love it.
Right.
Stay humble and stay hungry.
I like it.
Yeah.
LT, what about you?
Yeah.
Last words.
For me, it's simple. You know, whether it's the president of the United States or a homeless guy on the north end of our district with a styrofoam cup.
Why has it got to be the north end?
Backstory.
Because that's my area?
Backstory. So, you know, I would love for everybody that walks through these doors to treat our wealthiest and our poorest the exact same.
Absolutely.
And I think if we can get to that where we treat everyone like it's my mother or my grandmother, then I think, you know, that will continue.
That's one word: integrity.
Sure.
It's
Capt
integrity.
spoke about it several times.
That's exactly right, man. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Brother, it was
Thanks
good.
for being part of PintheQ family
Hey,
for today, man.
Absolutely. We brought you some stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll let the captain.
Yep, department patch. That's the department in whole.
thank you very much. That's cool.
This is my house patch.
Sweet.
So a little backstory with the Shamrock there. We have a little hotel right on the corner we make
Okay.
calls to called the Shamrock Hotel. So we had to drop the Shamrock in there.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's
Little hidden jewel.
that's the culture stuff, man.
absolutely.
I like it.
This is my house's patch. And you know, one of the things we put in that was
A rooster.
our training barn
Okay.
sits out back, and it's an old barn that stored hay and hogs.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
a
we have
beefy
chickens.
rooster.
We have chickens across the street that literally crow in the morning.
Yep. Rooster that was on
You know,
roids
so-
back there.
Yeah,
That's cool. I love this stuff,
Yeah,
man. This
yeah.
is like
And-
this is
Yeah,
history.
we brought you a duty shirt.
Yep.
Sweet. Y'all wear this with pride, man.
I appreciate that, man. There's nothing greater than that.
And then a house shirt as well for here.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, good stuff.
Hey, you knocked it out of the park, all these gifts, bro. That's awesome.
It's all good. Your family now.
Thank you. Well, you made me feel like family, that's for sure.
Absolutely. You
Well, I
always
got
got a
something for
home
you
here.
guys, too. So every guest that comes on PintheQ gets a 3D patch.
Awesome.
All right, so that's one for both of you guys, and that's from
Deal.
Eagle Emblems and Graphics.
That's awesome.
And there's and also now with the with our mission, we have these new decals that we're giving out. You guys said you had 2 firehouses.
Yeah.
So I have 2 patches two
Sweet.
decals for you, and this is "No one fights alone." And this is our motto. So and again, you know very well from being involved in the next rung how important that is. So
Awesome.
if
Shout
you
out
can
Blake
keep
and
those.
Charlie.
We'll see you guys in a couple days.
And the good news is every episode I talk about Next Rung and how powerful their mission is, but I don't have to tell you guys what it's about because you're part of it.
Yep.
So those guys are family.
Yeah,
Good
man.
friends to us.
So Next Rung, like we always talk about, the good thing is these guys are already involved. They get it. So again, thanks again. I appreciate you guys coming out and letting me be part of your family for the day because
Awesome.
Sugarcreek is where it's at. I'm happy I'm here.
Pleasure's
awesome.
ours.
All right.
We're coming to Jersey soon.
Oh, can't wait.
We're coming to Jersey soon.
You can't wait.
I'm coming like Frankie Valley.
Yeah.
We're Jersey boys under a street light,
Oh, geez. We
Yeah.
should probably stop
singing
now.
Sherry Baby.
Well, listen, we'll bring you to Atlantic City. That's the closest thing to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in.
amazing.
I'll bring my hair gel.
It sounds good. All right, everybody, here you go. We're at Sugarcreek in Indiana. This is something different. Great episode here with these guys. And this episode was sponsored by Axe Head
Yep.
Threads. They make caps.
Axe Head Threads.
Axe Head Threads. They make caps.
Yes, we make caps.
Axe Head Threads. Axe Head
Yep.
Threads. They make caps. He's wearing one right now, and so am I.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
So again, thanks.
Good sticker.
Yeah,
Good stitching.
it is good stitching. It's
I
tight.
don't know why I get it in the mic like it's good stitching.
Now, when people listen in their TVs, they're gonna go, "Oh my god!"
Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
and you got the cup right here
Yeah.
too.
It's a cup.
See, you're representing right there. Axe Head Threads.
Like a wise ex-punter said, we are for the brand.
Yep, for the brand.
All right, we'll be back soon. Make sure you check this one out. Again, check out our Facebook page. Also, the website is actually a website from 2019 now, which I'm pretty excited about.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty
up to date.
updated. It doesn't have that construction guy walking past the screen real slow.
That's awesome.
And that is www.pintheq.com. All right, take care, be safe, and as always, look out for each other.